video today, guys. Christina, Brooke here. Today we are going to be talking about the brand new Natasha Denona Glam face palette. So I did pick it up in light. So it does come in two different versions. So there's the light and I believe it's called the dark. They're both designed with different skin tones in mind. So this is definitely for the light to medium skin tones, and then there's the medium to deep skin tones. So this is actually retailing $59 US. It's available at Sephora right now. The cool thing about this palette is the first ever Natasha Denona all-in-one eyeshadow, blush, and highlight palette. So she was announcing on her Instagram that she was very excited to launch this new concept palette. I do have a lot of thoughts on it. We're gonna get into a lot here. I know some of you guys are looking at this to pick up during the Sephora sale. So if you are looking at it, I'm gonna be giving you guys some details on it. We're gonna talk about a lot in this video. But of course, if you guys are new to the channel, I would love it if maybe you'd wanna consider hitting subscribe. I love to do different things on the channel. I love talking about makeup. I introduce some fashion here. I like to give you some variety on your timeline. So if you guys like those things, don't forget to go ahead and hit subscribe. Now, I've got a lot to say, so let's get into this and let's start right now. Okay, so as I told you guys, this is the brand new Glam face palette. So this is supposed to be a take on her Glam palette, but in a face palette version. So in here, you are getting a cream blush, a highlight, and you're getting 5 different eyeshadow shades. Also, the palette is made in Italy. It comes in this really nice container. So this feels like the typical Natasha Denona containers. The only difference is something that maybe a lot of you guys will notice is there is no way to take out the eyeshadows out of this palette, but it does come in this beautiful rose gold container that will get your fingerprints all over it because it's nice and shiny, and I keep trying to wipe it down for the video, but it's not gonna happen. Now, as I was reading the back of the container, I do want to point something out for you guys. They do have a little warning on the back that it does say the cream blush must be used only on the cheeks. So just FYI, they are saying that. I don't know what the reasoning of that is, but the cream blush, they are saying do not use it, I guess, on your eyes or anything like that. The cream blush on the cheeks. So I did want to point that out to you guys in case you are somebody who doesn't like to read the back of cartons. And it also has an 18-month lifespan. Let's go ahead and let's just swatch out these eyeshadows together. I know you guys love to see them swatch, so we're going to start out with inner corner, transition, and crease. So these are the first 3 shades in the eyeshadow palette. So this one is inner corner. It's like a beautiful, almost like a peachy toned metallic. It has a lot of shine to it. Then we have transition, which is a really nice taupe. It actually has like a little bit of a pink base to it. It's really, really pretty. And then we have this one, which I forgot the name. Then we have this one called Crease, which is a very pretty crease shade, and it's very easy to use on the outer corner. You can also use it in the crease as it says, and it's also really pretty shade. Then we have Outer Glow and we have Smoke. So these are the last 2 shades in the palette. So this one here is called Outer Glow. And you can probably see just from the swatch, this one has a lot more of like a peachy undertone to it, whereas this one, it does have a little bit of like a peach to it, but it leans a little bit more champagne. Then we have this one called Smoke. Smoke is the deepest shade in the palette, and it is a really nice matte. So these are the colors inside of the palette. So these are the eyeshadow shades. So the cream blush looks like this. It's a really pretty cream blush, and the highlight. So this right here is the color of the cream blush, which I actually love the color of this cream blush. It's so, so pretty. I'll build it up a little bit so you guys can see it, and the cream, and then this is the beautiful highlight right here. Look at that. So that is what makes up the light face palette. So now that we have swatched the palette, I have given you guys the information on it. Let's go ahead and zoom in. I'll show you guys how I created this eye look, how I put it on my face, and then we're gonna get into some thoughts and comparisons. I've got a lot to say, so let's get into it right now. All right, guys, we're doing a late night video. I have you zoomed in. I have my makeup kind of freshened up from the day, and we're gonna be playing with the Glam face palette from Natasha. I'm so excited. So this has been waiting for me at my doorstep today, and this is what it looks like. So let's see if I can get you a good angle. So this looks so much prettier in person, even though there is 2 colors here that look very, very, very similar. Turn down the lights a little bit so you guys can get a little glimpse of this. So let's open up this. So this is what the palette looks like, and it's so pretty in person. So now that I was able to give you guys a quick little look at what it looks like, I want to kind of stare at her for a little bit. Ooh, she's pretty. She really is pretty in person. So we've got a cream blush here on the top. Interesting. It's actually a very interesting texture. It almost didn't look like a cream to me. It looks like a powder. And then here is a beautiful highlight, the Star Glow. Ooh, that looks like it'd be really promising. Ooh, okay, I'm excited for that. And then we have inner corner, transition, crease, outer corner, and smoke. So those are all the colors. We will do some comparisons. So I think the first thing that we're gonna do is do an eye look that is very soft, and then we'll amp it up a little bit. So we'll do two different eye looks, because this is supposed to be like a universal palette so that you can take it out with you, I guess, so that you can have it on a trip. I want to see how much you can get out of this. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with transition and see. So I'm going to put that up to the crease and see. I actually really like this color. It's a very light, very, very pretty, a nudish tone. Actually very pretty. It kind of reminds me of the top I have on today, actually. And it's a really nice, soft color. I'm actually happy she put this as a transition shade. It is not super boring, to be honest. It's not extremely boring transition shade. So I'm going to go ahead and blend that in. Go into my Refer 15. I like this brush a lot more. Okay, so let's go ahead and blend out those corners, all the edges. So if we want to do just like a more subtle look, I think what I'll do is I'll grab the color called Crease right here with my Refer 01 brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just add that to the outer corner. Very pretty, very soft color. It does have enough pigment against the other one to stand alone, but they are a little close in shade, but definitely does something pretty, because you guys can see the little accent coming out of the outer edge, so it is doing a very pretty effect. And that looks really pretty, and this right now is reminding me, yeah, this is totally Natasha's beautiful powdery formula. It's very, very pretty, very blendable. I like it so far. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab inner corner, because it's a little bit like a lighter, very pretty, like metallic it looks like. I'm going to put that all over the lid, kind of like my, ooh, how pretty is that? Wow. This is like a really pretty metallic. It almost like is so glistening. I probably wouldn't even put this in my inner corner, to be honest. I probably would just put this like a spotlight color. Okay, that is such a pretty color. Now the cool thing is I already have mascara on, so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like finished, because I'm not going to completely finish this off because we're going to amp it up to make it a nighttime look, but that's the basis. I think this looks really pretty, and it's super light and airy. That metallic though is really, really, really shiny. So it's very beautiful, and it kind of reminds me of like a fairy, like pixie dust on the lids. It's really, really, really pretty. But let's amp this up. Let's see how much further, how much deeper we can go with this. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and deepen it up. So I'm gonna grab into the color Smoke, and we are gonna do that. We're gonna smoke. So let's clean off this brush just a little bit. So we're gonna jump into a Refer 14. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab into Smoke, and let's amp this up. I'm gonna put this on the outer edge. Then I'm also going to bring it into the inner corner. That is definitely adding a lot more pigment, if you guys can see. It definitely added enough to make a difference, in my opinion. It could have even been a hair darker. So I'm also going to grab Smoke again, and I'm going to add it in the inner portion. Just like that. I want to put the outer corner color, because this is supposed to be a little bit more gold, and it is. It has a tad bit more gold in it, a little bit even more glitters. Oh, look at that. More glitters and a little bit more gold. We're also going to go ahead and bring a little bit of smoke under the lower lash line. And do what it says. Let's smoke it with transition. All right. And there we go. So definitely that made a really pretty, very smoky look. Let me go ahead and do this eye. I'll put on a little bit of liner and mascara just to finish off the amping of the look. I already have some thoughts. I already have so many thoughts going through my mind. And then we're going to go ahead and play with the cream blush and the highlight, finish off the look, and then I'm going to divulge everything I'm thinking a lot right now. So let's finish this eye. Let's put on the mascara. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So here we go. Here is the final look, zhuzhing it up to a nighttime look, adding a little bit more drama to the look. I have to say I'm very happy with the way that this has performed so far, and I love the way the night look has turned out. Even having the underlaying colors and knowing that I mixed a bunch of colors together, I still think it looks really, really pretty, and I can envision the looks that I can create, or the look that I can create for nighttime, and how pretty it can come out. So let's go ahead and let's play now with the blush, and then we're gonna get into everything very soon. Like, I have so many thoughts right now. So if I jump into the blush, I'm just gonna grab a little bit on my brush just to see how it applies. I'm not gonna put too much on because I don't know how pigmented. Oh, wow. Okay, this color is really pretty. If you're somebody like me that does not love like extremely pigmented blushes, but you like for it to show up, but you don't want it to be like super like I'm wearing blush, this is a really pretty color. Like, this is like totally my kind of blush color. I think the one in the dark palette I would not have liked because I don't think that the blush was good for my taste. I like it for my blushes to be a little bit more paled. And I think that this is actually a beautiful pigment for my skin tone. So if you have a light medium skin tone, this has a very pretty pigment to it. Like, in person, you could see this blush coming off really, really well. And it complements the skin tone super nice. And I'm just building it up a little bit because I feel like you can't build this up. It's not getting too much. It's not getting stuck in one place. I'm using a brush, and I think it's applying beautifully with a brush. I don't think I would like this with a sponge. I think you got to go in with the brush. Like, I can already just tell. I think the sponge is going to kind of like stick it in place. And this feels like it needs a brush. Like, if you feel the cream itself, it's not like that creamy. It's almost like a dry cream. It reminds me of her Creamy Matte formula, only the blush version, which is super interesting. So yeah, I really love this blush formula. So let's play with the highlight in Star Glow. Star Glow. Let's see. Ooh, that's bright. Wow, that is so much brighter than I thought it was gonna be. Okay, so this is a super beam me up to space highlight. Okay, hold on. Let's take some of that down a notch. Okay, so you gotta be careful with that highlight. That highlight is very pigmented and extremely like fair. It's a beautiful highlight though, if you guys can see. It's a beautiful, beautiful highlight, but it is very like white based. So it's very in your face shocking. Just gonna put it a few different places because why not? Perfect. I love Natasha Denona's highlighters. Her Super Glow, this actually reminds me a lot of the color that I have in the Super Glow, so we'll compare it to the one that I have. But wow. So this is the final face of makeup. We've got the cream blush on, we have the highlight, we have the eyeshadows, we did 2 looks. I think I've got a lot to say about this. So let's go ahead and let's zoom out and I'll give you guys my final verdict. Okay, so first let's just quickly get into some comparisons because I do want to show you guys something. So I looked through all my Natasha Denona palettes and only one really stuck out like a sore thumb, like you look so similar to this palette. So Biba is literally its mother, like even like it could be almost its twin sister. So if you guys have the Biba palette right here, this is the actual palette and here is the Biba. So I'll show you guys comparison. So this right here is the Biba palette. On the top we have Biba and right here we have the new palette. You guys can see the very, very close similarities. The first color, the one in the new palette, is a little bit more gold. The second color is very, very close to each other. The third color is actually very close. This one here almost has even the same undertone, but they're not identical. The difference, I think, is between all the glitters that the new one has. And this color is actually really, really, really close as well. So let me just quickly show you the colors I jumped into from Biba are Monroe, I jumped into Freckle, I jumped into Shine, I jumped into Cocoa, and I jumped into Buff. So these are the 5 shades from the Biba palette that look super, super similar to the 5 shades that come in the brand new palette. So looking at the rest of Natasha Denona's palettes, like I can't really tell you that there's any other one that looks very, very similar color story wise. I even looked at the mini Glam and it's just a little bit too grayish, more cool toned, and it doesn't really 100% match up. And the Glam palette, you guys know, doesn't really match up that much either. Now, one of the differences is in the new palette, this metallic formula is a very glittery metallic formula. So that's not something that you even see inside of the Biba that I believe she kind of started introducing in the retro, kind of similar to the color Glitz, where it's a very like kind of where it's a metallic, but it has these particles of glitter in it. And I feel like both of these have that same type of formula. It's very pretty, very elegant looking formula because it's not chunky. It's very, very pretty. So that is the difference. These tones are the same, but definitely the glitters and the metallics are very different in these two palettes. It's just more the formula than the color story. When it comes to the mattes to me almost are identical. And I think the colors are very, very, very close. Not identical, but very, very close. So I definitely wanted to point that out. If you love the Biba, then this does have a very similar nod to the Biba. And then when it comes to this, I don't really have anything from Natasha that looks similar to that. I love this cream blush when she released it during Valentine's, and I believe that the formula is very similar to this one. I honestly don't feel like I have anything in my collection from Natasha when it comes to cream products that look similar to this blush, and this blush is beautiful. I honestly love the color of the blush that she included in here. And then when it comes to this highlight is also really, really, really pretty. And I wanted to compare it to my Super Glow that I have from her. And oh wow, my Super Glow is a little bit like, wow, why is it so faded? I feel like my Super Glow is fading out on me. Look at my Super Glow. What happened to it? Hey, what is going on to my Super Glow? But it is a lot more, it's a lot more bright, a little bit more yellowy. If I go into her Blush and Glow and I compare it to maybe this one, no, still the new one is a lot more like champagne, which I actually like. Definitely when it comes to the comparisons to the highlights in my collection from Natasha Denona, I really do not have a highlight that I think looks identical to that. So definitely the only palette would be the Biba when it comes to the eyeshadows. So now that you guys have seen the comparisons, you've seen me demoing the product, we've gone over all the details, now it's just time for me to tell you guys what I think. Okay, so these are my thoughts and I have a few of them. The first thing that I want to mention to you guys is I do really like the eyeshadows, okay? So the eyeshadows themselves are beautiful. I like her color selection that she included in here, but I am going to give a slight little complaint that these two metallics, even though they are different, if you guys can see, one does lean more kind of like peachy toned and the other one does go a little bit more champagne. They are different. But if you guys saw from my demo, when you put them on the lid, because they have so many beautiful glittery particles in them, they almost give you a very similar effect, okay? I wish that they were a little bit different. I wish that she would have gone in a little bit more separated in the hue selection. Like, I wish they weren't so close in pigment. They're definitely a different color, but I feel on the lid, you cannot tell as much because even if you look at them in the pan, you can already kind of see like they almost look the same, but they're definitely not. If you swatch it even against the highlight, so if you see like between the highlight and the two colors included, it almost looks like they're all like kind of just like in the same family, like they're very close. Like if anything, these two, the highlight and one of the colors are just so close in pigment. I really wish that she would have given us something just a tad bit different. It could have even been a gray tone metallic. I think the matte selection is actually very, very good. I think that it was able to bring up the drama for my personal preference, I would have liked even for this one just to be a tad deeper, just like a hint deeper. And I think I would have been even more excited. So when it comes to formula though, guys, the formula in here is so, so beautiful. I love the mattes in here. They are 100% Natasha Denona's powdery matte formula that I am obsessed with. That is the formula that I really love from Natasha. And I really like this newer formula that I'm not used to seeing as much from Natasha, that it's more like this glittery metallic. It's not like her standard metallic. This has all those beautiful like glittery particles in it. Kind of reminds me more of when we were introduced to the retro. There was this color psychedelic and glitz inside of it that if you guys saw, it was like the metallic formula, but it had a lot more glitter particles in it. I feel like she kind of did something similar to that with these metallics. They are very pretty. They look beautiful on the lids. They give you like that very pretty, airy, almost like a fairy princess look, which I really, really love. But overall, I really like these eyeshadows, and I do think it's a very pretty color selection. And I'm okay with the fact that she gave us two very close colors just because they both are very, very pretty. Now, where I think there was a little bit of a problem, and I really wish she would have allowed us to pop out these shades, because as I was looking at them, I was actually thinking in my mind, wouldn't it be nice if I could switch out maybe some of these with something from my retro or even something from my Glam palette, and maybe if I wanted to deepen out my shade, I could have just popped in a shade right here. I don't know if they would have fit exactly. I don't know if they're the exact same size, but I do wish that there was the option to interchange this so that I could really, you know, modify this if I wanted to. And I'm shocked that she didn't do that, because in most of her palettes that is an option. Like the modifying of the palettes is kind of like a big thing with Natasha. So I'm shocked that we can't play around with these colors. I think that that would have made this even better. I would have been even more excited if I would have known that I could have popped some of these out and maybe switched them out with an existing midi size palette. I think that would have made it even better, because it does look like the shades are the same size as the midi. That's what it looks like to me. Now, when it comes to the face portion, I love the colors she put in here. This is such a beamy, beautiful highlight. It's almost too beamy, but not in a bad way. You don't have to put that much on your brush at all. Very lightly put it on, but it gives you that beautiful like glass effect. Like I think you guys can see, that is a beautiful glass highlight. That's what I love about Natasha's highlights. They're not like glittery and ugly. This is a beautiful highlight. I don't see glitter particles on my face. It's honestly, it's beautiful. I love the highlight. The cream blush is one of my favorite cream blush colors, and I think she knocked it out of the park with this cream blush color. To me, it's perfection. It's not too much, it's not too deep, it's not too obnoxious, but it gives you a beautiful flush, and you could probably continue to build it up and even make it even stronger. So I think overall, this is a beautiful palette. Maybe if you wanted something, you know, maybe to take with you on a trip, that you can get 5 eyeshadows, you have your blush in here and a highlight. Now you'd only need to bring a bronzer. Then this is actually really pretty. I personally can see myself using this on a trip. And there is some palettes that are so to you kind of like a on-the-go palette, and you're like, I don't know, I probably would have to bring 2 more palettes along with me. I can see myself bringing this alone. I would have seen myself even bringing it with me even more if there was a really deep brown in here, but that's okay. That's personal preference. I still think it's absolutely stunning. So I also think that she did a very good job in color selection when it comes to giving as gifts. I think that this is a very easy, friendly palette that I think a lot of people will really love the colors and really love the blush. So I think that this is a very pretty palette. Do I think everybody needs it? Definitely not. Do I think that some of you guys may have these eyeshadow colors in your collection? Yes, especially if you have Biba. Do you need to run out and get it just for that cream blush formula? No. But I definitely think that if you're somebody who likes to travel a lot, or if you're somebody who doesn't like to have like a lot of different eyeshadow palettes, you kind of just want something condensed and compact, this is a really nice option because it really does give you a lot and it's very easy to use. So I like it. I think it's a very pretty palette from Natasha, and I have to say that I like the formulas so much. So anyways, I want to know from you guys, if you picked this up, what are your thoughts? Leave them down below, and don't forget to leave your comments for your friends so that everybody on here can read what you have to say as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.